Use this, hello? Mm, Voice. Yes, can you hear me? Yeah, I think it's working. I think it's working, my friend. Alright, alright, alright. Let's get it. Yo, yo, yo. Alright. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We on it. We on it, baby. Alright. Hail, this is the Rich Rukin, or Luke99, as people know me on Marvel Rivals. Here I bring to you a video that I really didn't want to make, particularly because it took a ton of work, and to be honest, no one watches my videos to justify the sacrifice of my time. However, I couldn't sit still anymore while people continually attack those who so desperately post on numerous social media outlets asking if Marvel Rivals matchmaking can please be improved upon, all the while getting flamed by trolls telling them to get good. Some of these players have been well-known players in the competitive scene who have dominated throughout the years, or decades. Hell, even Ninja has been up in arms about uh, Marvel Rivals matchmaking. First, I wish to point out that whether you call it EOMM, NMatch, etc., it all aims to achieve the same outcome, and it's just a technicality that allows the companies to skate by not admitting to rigging matchmaking. These companies have spent a lot of money determining all the possible team compositions they can utilize to manipulate matchmaking. They use all their internal data on players' accounts to tailor matchmaking, but I will focus on the raw data that I accumulated and crunched. The data I will show is less than what I had aimed to work with, but I became overwhelmed and decided not to finish, and then culminated me using a small data set. I strongly urge you that you check out the YouTube channel Marble Minute Masters so that you can see the video he made on this topic, and I'll add the link to this video's description. With that said, I want to point out there's a streamer called Paz who does a ton of Bronx to Grandmaster runs with pretty much almost every character in the game. And if that wasn't a red flag to anyone, believing that it's that you can actually go from Bronx to Grandmaster just by picking up a character you don't even know how to play with, just because you're a skilled player, like, then I got a bridge to sell to you. Here are, and now this has nothing to do with Pass in particular. I'm just using him as an example because these streamers actually are very good examples. So one of the things is that I've noticed is that not only is the matchmaking rigged, but the matchmaking has tax accounts with favorability on top of that. And so it seems some accounts have a favorability with the system in that the system, matches the matchmaking provides them with a substantial favorability of winning compared to the other team. And you'll see as you see the numbers here, and these are astronomical numbers, because historically, competitive games algorithms, or even before there were like digital algorithms, they aim to match players with a 0 to 2 point spread. So 50-50, like 49-51, or something like that. Or maybe like 48-52. Once you start getting beyond 40-52, then the matchmaking starts losing efficiency, and it's no longer optimizing as well. But the spread can increase as great as 10%, so from 45 to 55. So a fair bit, like a chance of winning a 45 to 55. That is supposed to be the maximum spread. Typically those are outliers, and although there may be spreads that go beyond that boundary, even that 10% spread, those are very minimal. Like the majority of games, 80% of the games or so are aiming to be within a narrow range, with most games, like I said, being within the 2 point, spread. And so over here, if we look if you guys can see this clearly. There are like 29 or 30 games or so that I took from Paz, one of his runs. And you can see that, let's say for game one, he has the win rate of his team is 63.4% to the other team's 30%, a 33.4% difference. Now, words cannot describe how absurd this spread is. Like it cannot describe, because historical spreads with hundreds of millions of games spread are far narrow than 10%. And here the system has a 33.4% spread. So essentially what the system in Marble Rivals is doing is that it's taking a rank. Let's say you gold 2, right? It takes gold 2. It grabs some people from gold 1, some people from gold 3, some people from gold 2. So, one up and down, one division difference up and down. It takes the top 1% of players and it pits them against the bottom 1% of players. For you to have that kind of disparity in win rate, for you to have something that astronomical, there's, that's the system is ensuring that they are 100% proof that they've predicted the outcome before the match begins. And so, just to skip through these numbers because I don't want this video to be too long, the average win rate of Paz's team is 59.4%, which in itself is already insane considering the average win rates that World Champion Tournament players have. And the enemy's team is a negative 45.6% with a spread of 13.8%. So in a few dozen games, the spread is so huge that even the average is 13.8%. That is just beyond ridiculous. And so some insights here from the data here, just to keep this short. Streamer's team never won a match where they were not favored. So again, the streamer, I guess, I can't say streamer. I don't know how many people are actually like assisting him in in any way, shape, or form to manipulate the cues. And also, most likely his account's already tagged by the company, to give him a favorability when he plays, since these things are bringing awareness to the game, and like money's being spent on the game and whatnot. So there was never a time where they won a match where they were not favored. Even if they were not favored by such a small margin that they had a very good chance of actually winning the battle. Streamer's team lost 80% of the matches that were a tight margin of favorability, aka a balanced match. So they won 80% of all the close matches, like as far as like the numbers behind the scenes that people are not seeing. Streamer's team lost 60% of the matches where they had a slight favorability. So when I mean by slight favorability, I am using the historical norm of a spread between 0, let's say, and 4. So I was a bit generous. 0 and 4. Historical norms have hundreds of millions and billions of matches, of data. And they were unable to win 60% of the time, despite the fact that the reason why this occurs is because, let's say, a person like Paz that's spending almost all his playing time playing noobs, whatever team they're putting them together, they're most likely, whatever the algorithm is putting together, are people that have similar experiences. And what's happening is that these people they don't play well when a team is near the skill, or forget about it, the team is slightly better or even better. Like they get steamrolled, and even when they're supposed to win matches, they lose them. And if you can see here, let's see, Here they had a 3.2% favorability, which is a pretty good favorability. Under normal circumstances. Now, obviously, Marvel Rivals, that's not normal, but under normal circumstances, that's a pretty good favorability. They could have won that game, they lost it. They had a 2.6 favorability, they lost the game. They had a 2.3% favorability, they lost the game. They had a 9.6, which in any other game, if you were playing any other game that's competitive, with a 9.6 variability, one team will completely bully the other team. With a 10% spread, that in other games when there's a 10% spread, that's when you see one team steamroll the other team. They had a 9.6 variability and still lost. Just so you can see that people thinking like, oh, this guy, these guys are great players, and this is what pisses me off, because the players are actually good, and not no one knows about them, and you're looking at the favorability. You can see the average favorability in almost 30 games is 59.4%. This every single match that they were in, the algorithm was preparing matches to a system. This is not the norm any other player faces by any stretch of the imagination. This is not the norm that anyone that's putting up every day saying, I'm getting MVP in every win and SVP in every loss. I'm outplaying both people. I'm outplaying everyone on my team, and usually outplaying some of the other people. I've had games where I outplayed the team that won. I outplayed the team that won. I've had games where I had zero loss. I mean zero deaths the entire game. Not even the enemy team that stomped us has zero deaths. No one in their team has zero deaths. I have had zero deaths in my game. Put up some good KD. Constantly working towards the objective. Lost the game. So these people that sit around telling you that you're your right rank or you get good, going around trolling, like, they need to get the hell out of here, because the numbers do not lie. It was different if Paz win rate was high and everyone else was low. If you saw that his win rate, if his team's win rate was lower than the other team's win rate, and he was going from Bronx to Grandmaster, right? Which is impossible in normal conditions. You can ask the AI, is it possible? The AI will tell you is not. There have been games where these streamers get a 98% win rate in like 70 matches. 98% win rate. You ask the AI will tell you that is impossible under normal conditions. That is impossible. Something has to change for that to be possible, because that is not possible. And the system will tell you that even the top world champion, the people that compete in the world championships, those top players, they tend to be, they tend to have, like mid-50s, win rates. And I'm not talking about rank, because people get a little confused with ranked. There are many ways people gain rank, and you'll see people 70% win rate, in a high rank. That is not normal. And the team win rate, because remember, when you're in a tournament, there's 6 people. A team is full. The team's not relying on matchmaking. You have a team. These people are training constantly against another team. The way the proper matchmaking should be made. It should be. And in the tournaments where you see people, if you would take a tournament and create, a ranking system, then you would have a proper ranking system. But over here, like, this is absurd. The fact that they had a 9% win rate. I've won games where you see a 9.6 win rate. I've had games like that where I was in the team that beat the team that was favorable, because I've crunched a lot of the numbers in my games, and I initially crossed the numbers in my game, and I noticed that something was seriously off, because this is not normal matchmaking. And then I started doing research. Shortly after I started playing this game, I started doing research. I was like, something's not right. Doing research into this, and then I started pulling data and crunching numbers. Although this also became painstaking, because the system was like blocking me, thinking I was trying to hack the system from pulling data. So I started having a hard time pulling data. But anyway, this is this is not normal. Streamer's team lost one of the matches. That's why I said that they had a substantial favorability of nearly 10%. These are some of the insights that I got, from some of this data. Streamer's team always had a positive win rate favorability, while the streamer's opponent's team always had a negative win rate favorability. I mean, sorry, the average out of all the games. There were some games obviously where they had like higher than that, but overall the total average, they had a negative win rate favorability. Um, and the average variability per game was 13.8%, which is just insane. That's a hot, which is even higher than the historical competitive gaming algorithm matchmaking outlier spread. So this is higher than the outlier spread. You can go to this YouTube channel, Marble Minutes Masters, and I'm going to put the link in my video because this video is very unorthodox. But people need to understand, this misinformation going that if you're skilled, if he was skilled, then what will happen is that he'll have a very high win rate, right? He'll be a high win rate player playing in a team that everyone had a low win rate. Because I'll tell you right now, these numbers almost look like they're fabricated. They're not fabricated in the sense that what do you mean? Like they're not fabricated in the sense that they have the favorability and that's why they're winning. But if you didn't, if someone said these numbers and I hadn't crunched them, I wouldn't believe that something could be off that much. Because what will happen is if someone was actually that good that they could just pick up a character they don't even know how to play with and go from Bronx to Grandmaster simply because supposedly they have more game sense than another player, like going to Bronx, Silver, Gold or whatever. What will happen is that you have this character that's very skilled, and everyone else will have a very poor win rate, right? And then if he carried them, then you could make the point like, oh, he actually carried them. No, he's not. Some of the people that he's playing with have higher win rates than him. Like, these people haven't, bro. These are the all right. So the way it works is that it seems like the system takes 4 players, and then 4 or 5 players, and it throws 1 or 2 players in there, right? And those 1 or 2 players are kind of like the outliers. So when you're seeing these high win rates, this was with 1 or 2 players pulling the win rate down. The win rates were absurdly high. When I crunch the win rates in my games, I literally have had people in my teams that have had a 12% win rate. I've had people with a 22% win rate in over 100 something matches. 20% win. So when I look at my teams, like I've crunched some teams where the average win rate in my team was like between 28 and 38%. Right? Our favorability was like anywhere from 28 to 38% against the other team that's, ranging in the 65 to 75% range. Like I've actually, it's funny because the highest over here is 69% over here in line 5. Wait, is that the highest? That it? Oh no. Over here, line 30, 69.2%. I actually had a game where the other team was in 70%. I hadn't even seen that. I've crunched these numbers like here and there, just randomly. I probably crunched like over 100 matches. It takes a lot of time to gather the data, and sometimes the data is not available, and I have to use other type of means to acquire the data. But yeah, I've had games where my team had like 30, 36, 38%. The other team had like 77%. I was like, there's no way for you to win. Like, that's not, it's crazy. I've had 17. I've had a losing streak of 17%, 17 games, and I've heard people have had 20 plus losing streaks. And the reason why this is happening is because the algorithm is behaving differently with everyone based on what motivates people and what gets people to be on, and to buy things and whatnot. With me, I'm an older player. I'm very disciplined, and I don't give up easily. So if I lose, I'll keep playing through it. And so the system and the system is like, oh wait, I gave him 6 losses and he just keeps playing. All right, well, I'll keep giving him losses. Maybe eventually he'll go to the store, buy something, or come back later. I don't understand where the algorithm believes that you can shit on someone like that and think that they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna buy something. Really, I'm telling you right now, I've worked in in tech and finance for decades, and the people managing this company, as far as like trying to grow revenue or their profits, are sort of incompetent. I mean, th- I feel like the dev team is really good, but whoever's making these decisions to have this predatory matchmaking system in place, I think, in my opinion, that they're severely like mistaken. Their logic is severely flawed. Because if, I mean, even if they eased up a little on this predatory algorithm, and because they don't, I feel like the game is great. The company made. I was very impressed with the company with all the changes that they've made for season 5. I was very impressed. I thought they had changed the algorithm. I thought they were like, you know what, we're gonna lay back on the predatory matchmaking, and we're gonna make this a little more fairer, and to better reflect individual skill. I thought that was gonna happen when they did the placement matches, but I was sorely mistaken. But I have to give credit where credit's due. They've made like I feel they've made serious inroads into making people happy for season 5. They just gotta work on the matchmaking, bro. Like this thing is not gonna get you the money that you think is gonna get you. Like I understand, that they pitched this to, they created these algorithms, worked, put a lot of time and resources into it, and pitched it to investors and whatnot. But like, this is not like, bro, like this is not the way to go. I'm telling you right now, this is not the way to go, man. There have been many games in the past decade. Not many games. There've been a few games in the past decades that have broken records, both in like revenue and and player base, and they did not have to do this, man. Like you guys, I'm telling you right now, an advice from a person that worked in finance and tech for decades, like you gotta like sit down and like brainstorm this, take some of the, you gotta make some changes to this algorithm, because this is not it, bro. This is not it. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up here. This went way longer than I thought it was going to take. Hopefully, it's actually recorded properly, and I'll catch you next one.